Hey everybody, this lesson is on basic shading techniques, and we're going to just give you a quick intro on them. So the first one is hatching. Now hatching is not like this example where it's very smooth and everything's blended out really well, because that's done with a pencil. But when you have a pen, then you need to use lines to create your shadows. So by putting many lines close together, you'll be able to get dark shadows, and by putting them farther away, you'll be able to get lighter shadows. In this example, you'll see some lines being used for texture and also for shadow, okay? There's not a whole lot of shading in this, but you do see some. And it's done with lines, and putting the lines together creates the illusion of shadow. Alright, so in this example, it's the same thing. They use lines close together to create shadows. And here, from farther away, this drawing looks blended, but when you look up closely, it's many lines. It's all just lines. And the closer you put them together, the darker things will appear. Now, hatching is not like this, where it's one continuous line. It's many individual lines, and I'll show you what I mean, okay? It's individual lines like this, one at a time, and you're going to spread them across your box, okay? So I want you to create 9 boxes for this practice, and you're going to fill each one with a different shading technique. So the first one is hatching, and what you're going to do is create a dark to light transition. And you do that in hatching, you do that by putting more lines closer together. Okay, cross hatching is very similar to hatching. Okay, it's distinct lines like this, but you're going to also cross them over like this. And that's how you can get a dark shadow. Okay, so here you'll see that they cross over multiple ways, not just 2 ways, but they cross them over multiple ways. Now in this example, you're going to see hatching and cross hatching, which is very common. Hatching here, hatching here, right? Just lines going one direction. And then you have cross hatching here, where things are meant to be darker in value, and so they use cross hatching. Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak is a very famous example of cross hatching. This is also a really cool example of cross hatching. Alright, and here's a drawing that I did with a ballpoint pen. And if you look closely, it's all just many lines, okay? And that helps you get the shadows that you want. Now this is a drawing by Rembrandt, a very famous artist, much like Leonardo da Vinci, someone who's just very famous in history and is a great example of cross-hatching. Here is the dollar bill that all uses lines. Everything in this drawing is just lines, and I just think it's really amazing. Here is a comic book character, right? Here's some other comic book style drawings, and here you can see how they use cross-hatching to create shadows on the arm to define the muscles, right? It looks pretty cool to me, and you can also use cross-hatching for quick sketching as well, and it helps you just lay in shadows very quickly. Alright, so we're going to put that one in this next square. We're going to draw our lines much like regular hatching, and then we're going to cross them going a different way. Now you can go completely the opposite way, or you can just choose an angle like I did. And then now I'm going back the other way, so you can choose multiple ways if you'd like. And then remember, I needed to see a dark to light transition. Alright, circling and scumbling. Circling and scumbling is a cool way to get shading, but keep texture, okay? If you blend it out too smooth, sometimes it won't work. Like if you have an older person's face, like in this drawing, I didn't want for the skin to be really smooth, so I used circling and scumbling. If you look really closely, you'll see that the skin is made up of many little circles. Okay, and the reason for that is I just didn't want the skin to look too perfect, right? It's an older man, so the skin is going to be a little bit more rough. Now, to get this technique, I wouldn't use your writing grip, I would use an overhand grip. Okay, and that will help you get a better, smoother set of circles. Okay, so you're going to fill the square with many little circles, and then you will just go darker and darker, and that way you can have a dark to light transition. Okay, you can also label these hatching, cross hatching, circling, and scumbling. Okay, I could have probably gone a little bit lighter in that top right corner to really show dark to light transition. So maybe you can apply that in your own drawing. Okay, here's scribbling. Scribbling's really fun. Scribbling is very loose and free, and here you can see that for lighter areas, they just keep a few scribbles there, and then as it gets into the darker areas, you add more scribbles. Here's a drawing that I did with scribbles. Here's another one, and you can see that just by adding more scribbles in a certain area, you can get the darker shadows. And then you can get a medium tone by adding just a little bit less of those scribbles. And then for the really light areas, you can either leave them blank or just add a couple scribbles here and there. Okay, so we are going to scribble in this next square, and it's not like circling, it's not really a circular shape, it's more just going everywhere, just any direction. And then to get things to be darker, you're just going to add more scribbles. Okay, so remember, we need a dark to light transition, and so I'm going to add more scribbles in this corner to get my dark value. I'm going to label it scribbling. Okay, that's it for this video. See you in the next one.